Letter 109 by Charles Lamb. Charles Lamb to St. Coleridge, 27th May, 1803. My dear Coleridge, the date of my last was 1 day prior to the receipt of your letter, full of foul omens. I explain, lest you should have thought mine too light a reply to such sad matter. I seriously hope by this time you have given up all thoughts of journeying to the green islands of the blessed. Voyages in time of war are very precarious, or at least, that you will take them in your way to the Azores. Pray be careful of this letter till it has done its duty, for it is to inform you that I have booked off your watch, laid in cotton like an untimely fruit, and with it Candillac and all other books of yours which were left here. These will set out on Monday next, the 29th May, by Kendal Waggon from White Horse, Cripplegate. You will make seasonable inquiries, for a watch mayn't come your way again in a hurry. I have been repeatedly after Tobin, and now hear that he is in the country, not to return till middle of June. I will take care and see him with the earliest, but cannot you write pathetically to him, enforcing a speedy mission of your books for literary purposes? He is too good a retainer to literature to let her interests suffer through his default. And why in the name of Beelzebub are your books to travel from Barnard's Inn to the Temple, and then circuitously to Cripplegate, when their business is to take a short cut down Holborn Hill, up Snowdhu, on to Wood Street and see? The former mode seems a sad superstitious subdivision of labour. Well, the man of Ross is to stand. Longman begs for it. The printer stands with a wet sheet in one hand and a useless piker in the other in tears, pleading for it. I relent. Besides, it was a salutation poem, and has the mark of the beast tobacco upon it. Thus much I have done. I have swept off the lines about widows and orphans in second edition, which, if you remember, you most awkwardly and illogically caused to be inserted between two ifs, to the great breach and disunion of said ifs, which now meet again, as in first edition, like two clever lawyers arguing a case. Another reason for subtracting the pathos was, that the man of Ross is too familiar to need telling what he did, especially in worse lines than Pope told it, and it now stands simply as reflections at an inn about a known character, and sucking an old story into an accommodation with present feelings. Here is no breaking spears with Pope, but a new, independent, and really a very pretty poem. In fact, 'tis as I used to admire it in the first volume, and I have even dared to restore. If 'neath this roof thy wine-cheered moments pass, for beneath this roof if thy cheered moments pass. Cheered is a sad general word. Wine-cheered I'm sure you'd give me if I had a speaking trumpet to sound to you 300 miles. But I am your factotum, and that, save in this instance which is a single case and I can't get at you, shall be next to a fac-nile, at most a facsimile. I have ordered Imitation of Spenser to be restored on Wordsworth's authority, and now all that you will miss will be Flicker and Flicker's wife, the thimble, breathed dear harmonist, and, I believe, the child that was fed with manna. Another volume will clear off all your anthologic morning posty and epistolary miscellanies, but pray don't put Christabel therein, don't let that sweet maid come forth attended with Lady Holland's mob at her heels. Let there be a separate volume of tales, choice tales, ancient mariners, and sea. Coleridge, who was getting more and more nervous about his health, had long been on the point of starting on some southern travels with Thomas Wedgwood, but Wedgwood had gone alone. His friend James Webb Tobin, mentioned later in the letter, lived at Nevis in the West Indies. Possibly Coleridge had thoughts of returning with him. The Malta experiment, of which we are to hear later, had not, I think, yet been mooted. The Man of Ross. In the 1797 edition the poem had run thus, partly by Lamb's advice, see the letters of June 10, 1796 and February 5, 1797. Richer than miser o'er his countless hoards, nobler than kings or king-polluted lords, here dwelt the Man of Ross. O traveller, here, departed merit claims a reverent tear. Friend to the friendless, to the sick man health, with generous joy he viewed his modest wealth. He hears the widow's heaven-breathed prayer of praise, he marks the sheltered orphan's tearful gaze, or where the sorrow-shrivelled captive lay, pours the bright blaze of freedom's noontide ray. Beneath this roof if thy cheered moments pass, fill to the good man's name one grateful glass. To higher zest shall memory wake thy soul, and virtue mingle in th ennobled bowl. But if, like me, through life's distressful scene lonely and sad thy pilgrimage hath been, and if thy breast with heartsick anguish fraught thou journeyst onward tempest-tossed in thought, here cheat thy cares. In generous visions melt, and dream of goodness thou hast never felt. Lamb changed it by omitting lines 9 to 14, Coleridge agreeing. The poet would not, however, restore wine-cheered, as in his earliest version, 1794. In the edition of 1828 the 6 lines were put back. Breathe, dear harmonist was the poem to the Rev. W.J.H., and The Child That Was Fed With Manna was on the christening of a friend's child. Lady Holland's Marb. Elizabeth Vassall Fox, 3rd Lady Holland, 1770–1845, was beginning her reign as a muse. Lamb by his phrase means occasional and political verse generally. The reference to Christable helps to controvert Fanny Godwin's remark in a letter to Mrs. Shelley on July 20, 1816, that Lamb says Christable ought never to have been published, that no one understood it. Canon Ainger's transcript adds, "A word of your health will be richly acceptable."